everybody. It's Dr. Cindy, your host of the Positively Altered podcast. I am a chiropractic internist and nutritionist, and we love to discuss all things health-related, no filter, sometimes with a spin. Today, it's about plants or veggies or not animals. Well, actually, at the end, we might actually discuss animals, but you've got to take a quick break and listen to our sponsors. And then we're going to come back and meet somebody who has adopted a plant-based diet. And I've got to tell you, if you're only listening, click on your video because she is stunning. Her skin is gorgeous. Her hair is gorgeous. And if it's a result of a plant-based diet, I am in. We will be right back with the Positively Altered podcast.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back to the Positively Altered podcast. Thanks for sticking around through that commercial break. My guest today is a holistic, plant-based nutrition coach specializing in helping women over the age of 40. Welcome, Mirella Carlucci.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward
to our chat. Oh my gosh, you have such a great name. Like, I wish I was a really good announcer because it's such a fun name to say, you know? It's so great. So great. So women over 40, why? You know what? It's fun. All right. We're going to just dive right in. You ready? Because I see all these things, women over 40, women over 50, women who are, why'd you pick 40? What is it about women over 40 that we need to help?
It tends to be the time when most women have that change, you know, when they notice, okay, something's a little off. So for me, unfortunately, I started quite young. I was probably 35 when I started, which they say is like probably the top of when you can start. So I was one of those lucky ones that drew that straw.
Oh my gosh, Mirella, if you were to ever talk to any of my friends or colleagues, they'd probably tell you I was off my whole life.
There you go.
Probably true.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hold true to the 40. So as we talk, maybe those in their 30s or whatnot, this can still apply to. Yes.
Yeah. Generally, you know what? I think women over 30 can probably benefit from some of the stuff we're going to talk about because it is, unfortunately with the change of times, the change of the way we are growing our food and our environment, we're having these conversations with younger and younger women. So I know from just my circle and family, there's some with PCOS, which tends to be, something that I, growing up, never heard of. And it wasn't until later now that I'm like, here, it seems to be like every other woman that I speak to has endometriosis or PCOS or, so there, I think it becomes a problem, and we notice it more in our 40s when it comes to things like, the menopause stuff. But when hormonal changes in general, I think, any woman can benefit from, what we're going to talk about.
Right. And I think you hit on something really important. We didn't discuss this, right? I mean, I'm from that generation too. And, listen, my mother did the best she knew how to do, but we certainly didn't, sit down and discuss body parts and changes and hormones. And there was no conversation, right, back in the day. And it's
None.
Great that now it's dinner conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's not taboo anymore, and you can talk about it, and men can be in the conversation as well, So there was a time when it was like, oh, he's coming, you can talk about a period, like I remember, when I was 11 when I got my period, and we were on vacation, and my mom, like, I called her aside, and I was so like, I didn't know what was happening. And she was like, shh, okay, we're not going to tell anybody. And, like, especially your father. And I was like, why? What's wrong with me? So
isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
now, I raised 3 kids, 2 were boys. And I remember my youngest, who's now 18, I'll probably be mortified if he ever listens to this podcast. But I remember him because, you can't go to the bathroom by yourself as a parent, right? The kids always walk in. I remember my youngest son coming in one time. I was changing my tampon, and he's like, Mom, those are the coolest torpedoes. When do I get to play with those? I'm like, okay, just for clarification, they're not torpedoes, and you're never going to play with those because you're not going to need them. But, it opened up the conversation, right? So as much as I wanted my privacy when I went to the bathroom, it fostered a good conversation.
Exactly. And, he and, your other son, if you have these open conversations, will become, like, I think, sensitive to women when they eventually start dating or are dating, or, and understanding it won't be something foreign to them, so. Yeah.
Right. Or they're going to ask the women if they need them to pick up a box of torpedoes for that once a month.
Right. And not be embarrassed to be at the supermarket with them.
Well, what? And that's what's funny too. I never understood why men would be embarrassed, because it's not for them anyway. So why the embarrassment?
Exactly. Yeah. I think the first time my husband ever went was when our first was born, and, I needed pads, and he had to go to the drugstore. He's like, well, what do I get? What do I do? And I said, like, this is what you get. He's like, oh, that was the most awkward experience. I'm like, why? They're not for you.
Right. No, we've got to make things less taboo and just easy to discuss.
Yeah. And just easy to discuss because, like, it's human nature, right? Just like anything else.
It's very, very true.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I introduced you talking about plant-based. Why plant-based? Where was your interest? What got you started on that focus?
Yeah. So when I hit that, wall with my menopause and everything, I had been, your typical, I'm South American, and our diet is very heavy in like pork meat and meat in general, but a lot of, rice. And I can say I've been constipated all my life up until I went plant-based, to be honest, because our diet was just not very fiber rich. Although my mom did try to cook broccoli, but she cooked it to the point where it was just like, army green and mush. So I think like any fiber left in it was gone. So I think when I started to go through this, and I was just frustrated with the medical system in that, you'd go and they'd say, oh, well, you have IBS and here's some pills and go away. Right. And, without checking to see what else was going on, so it kind of forced me to dive into what it was that I was doing. And I came across a post on social media with regards to plant-based, and I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then I looked into more of these documentaries, and I went down that rabbit hole deep. And within 6 months, so I first gave up dairy because what happened to me was during that change was my acne. And as a teenager, I had that really bad, the cystic acne around the jawline, which is all hormonal. And it was really bad. So, and I was a dairy queen growing up. Like, you give me buckets of ice cream, I was there. So what happened was I started to notice a change once I gave up dairy. And I thought, oh, okay, within 2 weeks, my skin started to like get a little more clearer and clearer. And then, the bloating, I suffered from horrible bloating and gas. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So slowly I started to, decrease my animal product consumption. And within 6 months, I was just noticing energy levels were better, and I was pooping every day. Sometimes twice a day, which is something we don't talk about for women as well. For some reason, for women, it's taboo subject to poop. And yet,
Right?
like it's awful. And I don't know where that comes from, because if a man has to go poop, he just says, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom, it's like takes a newspaper, whatever with him. And it's like expected. Okay. He's going to do his business. But for women, it's like, oh God, like,
Right. And men don't even say it that politely, Mirella.
no.
They just don't. They've got all kinds of different phrases to let you know.
Yeah. Don't go in there,
Right? No, it's
Yeah.
true. And it's funny. I don't know if it was, our demure stature or whatever it was that pooping seemed to be not fitting into that in the history. But like,
Yeah.
I laugh. And as I just shared with you, I also have a daughter, and I mean, I think she'll be mortified again. All my kids are going to be mortified based on this podcast. But, we used to joke as a little kid, she used to be proud when she'd fart, and she'd walk right up to the boys and just fart right on them. And, back when I was growing up, not only did we not fart, if we let one slip, it wasn't us, right? No way.
It's a dog.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? It was whoever smelt it, dealt it. Right.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
the
Yeah.
thing. So we blame somebody else, and not that I want to walk around proud of farting, but it's okay.
It's okay, and it's part of human, like I said, every human does it. So we shouldn't be embarrassed about it. Obviously, like I wouldn't be announcing it, but like it's one of those things that you just do, and it's okay. Right. So yeah. So getting back to the plant-based thing. So that's how I started. It was basically because I was just so sick of having these like terrible cramps, couldn't go to the bathroom, blood in the stools. They've done all the tests, and then just been given a pill to say you have IBS. No look at, what are you eating? What is your lifestyle? Do you exercise? Nothing, and I remember vividly, I was 11 years old when my parents took me to the hospital because I had blood in my stools, and they thought, of course, this kid has cancer or something. And it turned out I had fissures just from straining so much, and again, nothing was, I guess even told to my parents of what to do, what is this child's diet like or anything like that. Right. So, a lot of embarrassing moments along the way to when I finally just said, enough is enough. I need to take control of this. And it was in my early 50s when I decided. And like I said, within 6 months, when I noticed such drastic change, and the big one being that I was regular, I had more energy, my skin cleared up, I wasn't bloated. And I thought like, wow, this is great, and there was nothing in my diet that I loved enough more than I loved feeling this good, because it was just so it was just for me, like an organic thing. Unfortunately for my husband, for him, at this point, both my girls were pretty much out of the house. So, he was, are we doing this? Like, and I said, listen, I'm doing this. You're welcome to join in. And of course, like now over time, he's been very good about it. And he's noticed changes in himself that he likes. He's not 100% plant-based like myself. And for me, beyond just the eating, it went on to, the environmental part, the animal welfare part. So, it's more of a vegan thing, lifestyle for me now than it is for him. Like we'll go out for dinner and he'll order a steak, or we go to somebody's house and he will enjoy whatever they're serving. We don't buy it here, like at home to consume. But if we have company, like, my son-in-law is a carnivore, hates anything green. So obviously I'm not going to, be giving him tofu. Right. Of the like. Yeah. So that was, yeah.
What do you think are the typical misconceptions about a plant-based diet?
Well, people think we eat salads and that, we're like tofu consumers and that's all we have in our diet, and that, it's plain, it's boring, and, it's far from it. I stay away from the commercial plant-based stuff that's out there because, it's just now become a marketing thing. And there's just so much there that is just processed junk. So is a vegan or plant-based diet healthy? It doesn't necessarily mean that it is, because if you're going to go out and consume all the stuff that's processed out there, that's just because it has a vegan or a plant-based label on it, then I'd say you're no healthier than if you were to go eat, McDonald's at that point. There may be marginal, differences, but in general, I think you have to be a wise consumer with regardless what modality you choose to go down. And it's great transition stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, like the Beyond Beef stuff, and that is fantastic for people that are looking to make that change, because, it's not easy if, from a texture standpoint, from a taste standpoint, you want a burger. A veggie burger isn't going to cut it if you're a true, Angus, beef kind of guy, or gal. So, it does give you that transition, but I don't recommend you stay there too long, and I just think that there are healthier options. And that's the biggest conception, is that all we do is eat salads. And I don't like my diet is so diverse. And I always say to people, you have a choice of like chicken, beef, pork, fish, and what else, whereas I have a choice of like a gazillion plants that, it's just time to research recipes and make them, and that's just the other side.
What's your favorite way to get protein in for those that would like to make the transition and worry about not enough protein?
For me, my go-tos are like for breakfast, tempeh, and I make tofu scramble. Lentils are my big, I love lentils, lentil loaves, or I make, lentil burgers and, black beans. So for me, it's more like the legumes, the beans, the, tofu and tempeh kind of stuff, which, and if you look at, there's protein in everything, all plants have protein, just in different degrees, obviously, right? So if you have a diverse enough kind of diet when it comes to it, you're getting enough protein. Like, there is no, like, the big misconception I find is that people think that, you're going to be protein deficient. One thing we are not in North America is protein deficient. If anything, we are very, very, very fiber deficient. And that just means people aren't eating enough plants. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, the misconception. How do you feel about the potential for certain nutrient deficiencies if we're not eating animal proteins? Are you concerned about that at all?
Not at all. Honestly, not at all. Because, like, if you look at the strongest mammals on earth, like apes and elephants, and, they're all like, herbivores, right? They all eat plants. And that's where it starts, you need amino acids. You don't need protein, like a meat per se, right? Like, just like, so what I tell people is, as long as your diet is diverse, if you're going to stick to eating potatoes and, corn and peas, and that's going to be your profile, then yeah, you're going to be deficient, because you need to eat a variety to get all your minerals and all your protein in. But and you don't need, I mean, I do have protein powders, plant-based protein powders that I supplement with on those days when, I'm in a rush. I need to get out the door. I have a meeting. I do use protein powders. But there's another misconception. People think that, oh, I'm going to have to take all these, artificial, things. But yeah, it's just not true.
So I know, like, in the animal-based world, right? We always, it's not a joke, but we say you eat what they eat, right? So if they're hormone fed, et cetera, right? We're consuming that. Where does that stand true in a plant-based diet? Do we really have to worry about the things that, the plants are sprayed with, or the nutrient dense soil? Like, what are the concerns in that space that we have to focus on, even if we stay there?
Yeah, that is very true. And one of the things in, the EWG group puts out every year is, the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. And, because of budget constraints, people can't go out and obviously buy everything, organic. And so I always say, try to stick to what you can afford in organic that is within that dirty dozen. And then anything that you don't have to, just buy regular, right? Our soil is terribly depleted. So yes, we are in that kind of, but that to me says, whether you're eating meat or whether you're eating plant-based, the concerns are equal, because the animals are being fed, and the animals aren't being fed organic soy. They're being fed the regular stuff that's being sprayed. So, they're being fed corn. So, there is this misconception that you are in a kind of more deficient if you're in a plant-based, and your risk of higher, pesticides and all that. But of the opinion that so are the stuff that the animals are eating that is eventually coming to you. And these animals are, like you said, also being injected with hormones, growth hormones that are, and I think this has been the biggest change we've had in the rise in so many hormonal driven conditions, both in women and men, that is due to our way of we're growing our food, but also what we're feeding our animals and how we're injecting them, so
Right.
I think it's a concern all the way around.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, I'll lump men in there too, but hormonally, as a population, I think we're seeing more and more dysfunction rather than improvement, right? And a lot of it has to
Yeah.
do with all the external exposure. And
Yeah.
now the greater need to look at health, especially as we age, which is great for
Absolutely.
your
Yeah.
business, right? Because we've
Yeah.
got clients galore out there that need your help.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And it goes beyond just the food, what we consume. It goes on what we put on our skin. Like one of the things that I did was cleaned up everything that I put on my skin, everything from my cosmetics to my shampoo to my, skin creams and all that, because that's all affecting us as well. What you clean your house with, all those chemicals are getting into your system.
Right.
The cling
Right.
wrap that you put, the foil that you put on your food, so we have to be more diligent in how we approach this, because it's not just what we're putting inside, it's what we're putting all and what we're breathing. And I mean, we'd have no control over, the air that you breathe to some degree. And within your house, perhaps you can have air cleaners and plants and what have you, but you're exposed to it regardless to some degree. So I think whatever you can control, it's important that we try.
I agree. Now, I'm going to make a pretty good assumption here that beef tallow is probably not your favorite product for your skin based on the plant-based diet. But what are some of your favorites then? Talk about, using something externally. We all want to look younger. We all want this beautiful skin. A lot of the products are filled with chemicals and hormones. What are some of your favorite things to use?
Honestly, for me, it's a very simple regimen as far as cleansing my skin. I use this, and I forget the name, but I can get provided for you. But it's an oil, just cleansing oil that is plant-based, that, has no chemicals that are extreme out there. And then the oils that I use is a combination of, oh my gosh, if I can remember, frankincense, rosehip oil, and what's the third one? I'll have to tell you. It's, oh my God.
All right, just shout it out when it pops in your head.
I will shout it out when it comes to me. But anyway, it's a blend. So I buy the 3, and then I buy these little bottles that are amber, and I mix them, and a few drops of that every night. And that can be used for castor oil. That's what it is.
Okay, I knew it'd show up.
Castor oil. So that stuff is miracle. I'm telling you, you put that on your face, your body, your hair. Like, if you're going to wash it the next day, just lather it on the tips and everything. It is fantastic. So I've been using that probably for about a year now, and I've noticed a huge improvement on my skin. Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
And
yeah, for those of you that are listening and aren't watching, her skin is gorgeous. She's beautiful. So we've got to get that recipe from you, because everybody needs that.
Yeah, I'll be 60 this year, and I'm so looking forward to it. And
oh my goch, never would have guessed 60. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
so
beautiful.
I'm really excited.
All right, so I'm going to start using. I've used rosemary oil and castor oil, and I have really bad damaged hair from going through chemotherapy.
Yes.
And
that'll do it.
I admit coloring, because I'm almost 100% gray, and I don't want to look gray, so I do pick my evils, and my hair color is one of them. So I've got some very bad damaged hair, and it makes a difference when I use that. It's really, versus all the products that you pay $100 for with chemicals in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. And the only thing I would say is just make sure you get the stuff that comes in glass bottles as opposed to the plastic, because again, plastics, right? So get everything in bottles. And the little bottles that I buy from Amazon are in the amber color. And amber, just because it protects them from like the light. Tends to break them down. So even my cleaners. So I make my own cleaners to clean the house. So I buy those amber spray bottles, and then I mix it in there because I like using essential oils. And again, light breaks those down, right? So
yeah. Oh my gosh, so cool.
Yeah.
So you talk about really a reset for those of us, going through some of these changes. I have to ask you, with your clients that you work with, what do you think are some of the give me 1 to 3 of just the worst habits we have that we, engage in as we get older?
Worst habit I would say is blue light.
Okay.
After, yeah. So just having it on too late or too early, like before you get daylight. One of the things that I tell people is you need to get off your phone, an hour before bed if possible too. And then the first thing in the morning is open your blinds, get some light. Here in Canada, I live in Toronto, well, just outside of Toronto, but 6 months out of the year, we have gray days. Like it's awful. We might get a sunshine one every few weeks. So you can also buy the lights. So my husband suffers from SAD, which is that disorder, light disorder thing. So we bought him a light years ago. So he spends 20 minutes first thing in the morning on that light. And now I've got one on my night table. So I just plop it on and you can keep your eyes closed. It's just enough to get that. And it really does reset your circadian rhythm and it helps you with your sleep at night. So, people don't realize that the light you expose your eyes to in the morning is what's going to affect your nighttime because of the way that, your circadian rhythm works, right? So it sets your hormones to wake you up and to make you go to sleep properly, right? So that would be one of the bad things. The other thing is alcohol. I find that, I enjoy my glass of wine just like the next person, but I have cut back drastically and I'm actually being nicknamed the granny in my social circle and with my sisters as well. They're like, oh, there's Granny. She's only having one glass, because I would be the one to be right down there, dance on the table if I had to. Kind of gal, right? So, but now, I just find it's not worth it. It's not worth my sleep. It's not worth how crappy I feel the next day. And, it's just, and the weight, I find that it just adds on that little pooch in the, side handles. And no, thanks. I'm good. So that would be the second. What would be a third bad habit? I wouldn't say this is a bad habit, but just not getting enough fiber in your diet. So they're not pooping. And I don't understand, in today's day of age that we know so much more. Like we have the internet. Yeah. We have Google that, we don't try to, investigate that further if that's a problem you have, because just taking pills to relieve it, or like I said, those IBS pills I used to get from my doctor is not the answer. You get to the root cause, find out why, people, and especially women going through hormonal changes and, the estrogen and that, all that shit recirculates, literally shit, so, you need to poop. And, that's, I would say that's one of the biggest things, women are afraid of fruit. They're afraid of carbs or, it's like, that was so 1980s and 90s, let's get on with, with the science. And today,
yeah, but we had Snackwells back in the day. Do you remember Snackwells? That was women's answer to everything was Snackwells, and then we just got fatter and had insulin problems and glucose problems, and we just created a whole new epidemic.
Slim Fast was my go-to. Remember
Slim Fast?
Oh man. Yeah, I've done every diet. I did Jenny Craig, I did Weight Watchers, I did Atkins. And like you said, every single one left me fatter than the one before and more unhappy and skinny, but like a skinny fat. Like I was flabby. And, I remember 35 after having my second one, I would have tea. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, like you were living literally on under 1,200 calories. Like I was this rail thin, like just bag of like flesh and bones. And because I was having, those Weight Watchers toast, you say, oh, you can have two. Well, because they were microscopic, you can have two, right? And I would have that with a cup of tea. That was my breakfast. No protein. I was exercising like the fiend, doing the step, the step thing and following him. And that, yeah. When I look back at that, I think, oh girl, if you knew then, well, you know
right?
now.
What we would have, what we know now, if we knew then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a difficult question because I get this a lot, right? And I always like to think I have an answer for everybody, but I get pushback when people are like, I travel a lot. I'm always on the road. I'm on the go with the kids. How do you, when you're on the road or out and about, how do you find good places to eat? Or what is your plan, so that you don't stop at a fast food restaurant and eat junk?
Yeah. So a lot of the times, because I am, plant-based, and it was harder. Now I have to be honest. It is a lot easier eating out because there are a lot more options. But I just say prepare. Like I think a lot of times when people say, oh, but I have this, they're excuses. And, it sounds like, I'm being whatever harsh, but I just say, you know what? We all have the 24 hours. It's just choices you make on what's important to you. And because I was the same, I made excuses for everything because it was just too hard. I didn't want to do it. And I think as women, sometimes we just say, oh, you know what? I'm busy with the kids, but you have that, are you scrolling through Instagram? Are you watching Netflix? Are you, and I'm not saying that's not good. We all need to have that downtime, that time to ourselves. But you also have to think that if this is important enough to you, it's your health, then plan ahead. So for us, like if we're going to be out for the day, and a lot of times, if we are going to say, leave the house early and not be back. And I say, okay, like what's going to be our stops? What is it that we need to do? And whereabouts are we going to be? So if we're going to be hitting a restaurant, I look to see what's in that area and if there's something there for me. A lot of times I take protein with me in a Tupperware. And, if I do get a salad, I dump my tofu, tempeh, whatever it is I'm bringing, a couple lentils, and I throw it in there, so, or like I said, I'll bring a protein shake. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll make a green smoothie and I'll throw my scoop of, creatine and protein powder in there, so, there are ways to do it. And just like meal prepping, I work from home and I have a very busy schedule. So people say, oh, but it's because you work from home. Yeah, I work from home, but I don't have time to be a sous chef and a chef, like, during the day. Like I have to have those meals ready. When I come down, I'm starving. I'm not going to be looking on the fridge and going, oh, what should I eat? Everything's got to be ready to go. And a lot of times I take a few hours, whether it's a Sunday or a weekday, I take a few hours to do all that prep work. Right. So it is time consuming, but it's a choice that I've made for my health. And, it means maybe less time scrolling. It means maybe less time, watching TV, but it's a small price to pay for the outcome,
Agreed.
So, yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So
Yeah. How important do you think creatine is for us over the age of 40?
Well, there's more and more science around it. So I used to take it willy-nilly here and there if I remembered. And I would say in the last year, I've been so diligent about not only my workouts, but also taking my creatine. And I find that it's made a huge difference in how much muscle mass I've been able to acquire and just the recovery, and the studies show that it also helps with moods.
Mm-hmm.
And, for women going through, even now I'm postmenopausal, it does help with mood. So I think it's very important. And it's something that, it's been, I think they say it's one of the most researched supplements out there. So from a safety standpoint, because, you get those naysayers that say, oh, it's another, powder that you shouldn't be ingesting, but if you're going to take something, I think that is one of the safest, to take. Yeah.
Are there any other supplements that you recommend for women who are on a plant-based diet to supplement with?
Definitely B12, because anybody over 50, whether you are vegan, plant-based, or eating meat, the way our farm animals are being raised, I think all people over 50 should be taking, men and women should take B12 supplements because of the way our food system is today. But B12 for sure. If you are on a vegan diet, because like I said, I live in Canada, we have very little sunshine. I do take vitamin D. And for women, especially, with menopause and bone, once our estrogen dips, our bones become so, fragile and subject to breakage and stuff like that. So we need the D. To be able to absorb the calcium, and preferably with K2, because that helps absorb the D. Magnesium is huge for women, for sleep, for muscle recovery, for, the mental health part of it. So I take a bisglycinate, which is, and that's what I recommend. Obviously check with your physician with anything that you're going to take, whether it's, a vitamin or not, because there are some, no matter how natural it is, that does interact with things if you are on, say, high blood pressure medication and all that. So,
Sure.
but magnesium, bisglycinate is gentler on the bowels, so you're not, having those diarrhea attacks. Yeah. So that would be my three. And C, I mean, they say that, a lot of women run to collagen. I need collagen. All collagen is protein and vitamin C, really. Like, you need both to be able to work on your skin. So if you're, having enough protein in your diet, make sure you have a good vitamin C consumption. And if you don't, supplement, so yeah.
All right. I need something to eat for dinner. Mirella, what's your favorite vegan plant-based recipe you can give me?
Okay. My quinoa kale salad is my absolute go-to. It's my favorite. So that one is so easy. You just take your kale, you chop it up small, you massage it really well, with whatever dressing you use. I like a vinaigrette, and I like using lemon juice from time to time as well. So just massage it really well, so it becomes, because it tends to be leathery, and this is why people get discouraged from eating kale. But for me, I enjoy it in my smoothies. So I buy it frozen because it's already kind of mushy there and chopped up. But yeah, kale, some quinoa, and then I call it my clean out the fridge salad most days, because I just go in, okay, we have carrots, we have peppers. I go in the cupboard, I have lentils, or I have, chickpeas, and then, throw that in together with your dressing. And as far as protein, additional protein, if you're not going to use lentils or chickpeas, I throw in tofu, tempeh, but in your case, you can put in chicken or, beef, whatever it is. But, if people want to try going, all plant-based, try that salad. It's quite delicious. You're getting, quinoa has protein as well as your carbs. And yeah, it's a nice.
Oh my gosh. I love the idea, with the exception of the clean out your fridge, because sometimes we leave things in our fridge a little bit too long. So I think we need to do the clean out the fridge for the garbage day first, then we add to the salad.
Yeah.
It's a little, things get hidden back and behind, and it gets a little sketchy in the refrigerator every once in a while when you're not on top of it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, going plant-based, certainly, although I do love my meat a little bit, certainly wouldn't scare me. And I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of people who are interested in learning more about that lifestyle. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. We're going to listen to some sponsors. We're going to come back. I'm going to ask you some fun questions just to have a good time. And then let's share with everybody how they can get a hold of you and learn more about a plant-based diet. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered podcast. Stop. Hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. Welcome back to the Positively Altered podcast. I am Dr. Cindy with Mirella Carlucci, and I just love to say her last name. I'm sure there was an accent in there that I just self-imposed, right? That has nothing to do with your roots, but it's all fun. It's all fun. All right. We're going to ask where. I always say where because I have an invisible friend next to me, just so that you know. More accurately, I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're just going to have a good time. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So you mentioned that you're living up in a suburb of Toronto. So you've got some weather up there, but you also have water. If you could change the color of the lakes and the color of the snow, what color would you make it? And would it be the same color?
Would be the same color. It would be orange. Orange is my absolute favorite color.
Oh, see, we were meant to do this together. Orange is my favorite color too. It's the Dr. Cindy color.
Oh, there you go. And look at mine. Water.
Oh, see? I know. Orange is a really hard color. I was just speaking this weekend. I was in orange jacket and somebody said, you're one of the few people that can do orange. And I'm like, it's a good thing because I really love it.
Yeah. No, it's, my kids are like, oh, Mom, orange again.
Right?
You're going to get me flowers. Make sure there's something orange in there.
Right? I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're noted for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think you'll have something in your mailbox that's orange very soon if you haven't gotten it already. So it's
Okay.
coming. All right. If you could only take one mode of transportation for everywhere you have to go for the rest of your life, what mode would you pick?
You know what? I love cruising. So
Yes?
it would have to be, it would have to be boat or ship of some sort. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's your most favorite place you've ever been to on a cruise?
France. We went to Cannes, and yeah, that was beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
we've done, we're due for one. So when COVID hit, I was like, ugh, now we have to wait. So now we're due. We need to do that again.
Have you ever done an Alaskan cruise?
I have not. And you know what? I'm just always cold. This country is always cold. Like it is in the winter, we freeze. In the summer, we freeze because everywhere you go, supermarket, any store, it is freezing with air conditioning. So yeah, no. I've always said to my husband, an Alaskan cruise would be the absolute, I've done everything and I have nothing better to do with my time or money. Yeah. Although I hear it's absolutely beautiful.
It is. And I was going to say, I'm in Chicago and it's cold and gloomy and miserable. I mean, I can relate, right? Like we don't have sunshine most of the year either, but I will tell you, I've never cruised Alaska, but I have been, and you know what, buy the winter coat and go. Cause it really is just, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Noted.
Get the hand heaters and the super warm wool socks and just suck it up, Mirella, because it's beautiful there. You need to see it.
You sound like my sisters. They're like, suck it up. You're always cold. Just suck it up.
Right? I mean, it's just a week, 10 days. Yeah, it's not the rest of your life, right? I mean, you're living in it anyway. So, that's not good.
I know.
All right. So I know you won't eat them, but if we were to domesticate all animals on this planet, is there one in particular you would love to have as a house pet?
As a house pet, yes. Snow leopard. I love snow leopards. I think they're just so beautiful, majestic. So yeah, that would be my cat.
I love that. That would be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah. Wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would. Yeah. I have a bad joke that I would domesticate an alligator because they make really good boots. And then all the animal rights people call me and yell at me because I have a boot problem and I think their skin makes really good boots. But I know that was probably the wrong thing to say.
I'm not an alligator fan, but come on.
I don't know. All right. I'm going to get some therapy and work on that. I probably need to change that vision into something a little nicer.
Yeah, exactly. Something nicer.
Listen, we all can't be perfect, Mirella. So, this is where you learn the things about me that aren't so lovely, I guess, during this part of the program. That's for sure. All right. Lastly, hopefully the easiest question. What was your favorite thing about doing the podcast today?
Just how much fun and relaxed you are. This is great. Yeah. I've been on a few and yeah.
Some are hard, aren't they? They're hard.
And they're prescripted and then you feel like, what are they going to ask me?
You know what? We like to just have fun here with the hopes that we can share some really good information. And you have done just that because I know there's probably a lot of people that have toyed with the idea of going plant-based. And whether you're over 50, 40, 50, or under 40, 50, or 30, it doesn't really matter, right? If there's a desire, it's something worth trying. How does everybody get a hold of you, follow you, become a client? Share with everybody how we do that, because I know, I may even call you and figure out how I do it.
I'm on Instagram at Livin, Livin, La Vida Plant-Based. I'm on Facebook at the same. I'm on LinkedIn under the same handle. So yeah. And then I have a website at livinlavidaplantbased.com. And you can get information on what the programs I have. Basically, they're bespoke. And so you'd call, we'd have a chat to see if we're a fit, because not everybody is ready. So we meet you where you're at. And so if you're ready to work with me, I've actually, my most recent program, I've designed and partnered up with a fitness coach as well as a psychotherapist, because what we found was that it's a lot of times when we struggle with weight, there's a lot more behind it, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's eating disorder, whether it's something that happened along the way that is causing you to sabotage yourself to you get to that point where you've lost the weight or made changes, but then you hop right back into your old habits. So we're trying to do that, to kind of holistically look at your, because we're not just, a body, we're like a mind, a heart, we're full of emotions. Yeah.
We are, and all connected. So I love to hear
Yeah.
that. I think it's absolutely
Yeah.
fabulous. Sometimes we just need to address more than one system in order to be successful. And
Yeah,
it's truly
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciated getting to know you on the podcast today and learning a little bit more about plant-based. I'm going to consider it. I make no promises, Mirella. I love my plant-based protein, but I'm sure there's a need in there somewhere that I've got to pay attention to. If you'd like to learn more about what's going on in my community, please send us an email at hello@DrCindySpeaks or check out the website, drcindyspeaks.com. And please make sure you pick up my book called Positively Altered, Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag. I will tell all of you one of my favorite things about the podcast today is that I'm actually considering adding more plants. I love my veggies. I do, Mirella. They're fantastic, but I think I could actually broaden my horizons a bit. So you've inspired me to change my lifestyle a little bit, and I'm going to look at a little more kale, and I love my cauliflower, so we're going to up my game there too. I hope all of you listening today got some really great information, and you all have been positively altered.